You've put all this work into these pins, into this blog post, you got a sponsor, and nobody's visiting it from Pinterest. Why is that? You feel like your photos look good, you got the recipe, you got all this stuff optimized, like why wouldn't people want to come and visit this? And you know that it tastes yummy. Well, I'm going to tell you why, and I'm doing this with one of my blog posts that's old because I know these pictures aren't good, but when we're looking at our own content, it's kind of hard to tell what's good and what's not good. So I'm going to show you how to figure out if your images might be the issue on Pinterest. Okay, so I've got my images here. Let's say that I think these are the most amazing images ever. And so I'm like, I don't know why these aren't working on Pinterest. I spend a lot of time on them. Like, I don't get it. So usually before I make anything on my site, now that I have a better Pinterest strategy than in 2015, I go to Pinterest and I search to see what else is out there. And this is basically like doing your SEO research. So this recipe is for paleo chorizo hash. So I want to see what other hash recipes are out there, what am I competing with? Not only for, you know, the things that we would think like, how do I differentiate myself? What are the problems that these recipes aren't solving that my recipe needs to solve? Like my hash recipe is paleo because I wanted to have a paleo hash recipe. So that's a problem that these recipes don't solve, right? They have potatoes, they're not really Whole30 or paleo or anything like that. But I also want to look at visually, how can my content stand out? And so if you think about that this image, right, is competing with these images, these are a heck of a lot more appetizing. I mean, to be honest. So my images need to be changed. But what if like I only have these images? Like what the heck do I do? Well, you might want to take new photos. So, you know, like I can't go and recreate a photo where it's like on a plate or in the pan, right? I'd have to like make the recipe over again in order to do that. So what do I do with these photos that I currently have? So what I could do is maybe see if I have some of these photos in my archives that are better. The lighting on here is really blue. I can probably correct that in Photoshop. And now that I know more about Photoshop 3 years later, and even like see how this has the white around it, I could take that out like with Photoshop and put that on a different plate and make it look somewhat different. So let's see what happens if I go to pin this thing. I'm gonna click the pin. I have no real long pinnable images, so that's another issue. Another thing that we want to look at is what food images here, and you can just kind of do the scroll test where you scroll and see what makes you stop. Like that one made me stop. What colors in the food images make you stop? Green is really powerful because a lot of food can look really brown and it's like brown on brown on brown. So if you have green in there, pops of red, like the sausage in this one is really red and it's really popping, little pops of yellow, but it's like a soft yellow with the eggs in it. This one, see the light? I don't know if you guys can see at the top of this burrito pin, the light is really bright. That really stands out in the feed compared to something like this where the light is not as bright. And then these ones where it's like really zoomed in, while that might be appetizing when it's in your face, it's not that appetizing compared to the rest of this stuff here. And so that's something else we need to think about. So as you, like say you have a post where the pictures are kind of yucky, it's a little bit more challenging to fix that. So before you create content, I would suggest go here and look at your competition for that same topic and figure out, okay, how can I make something that looks appetizing? Like this one's appetizing, but it's not very long. This one shows it in the pot and it's, this is like kind of this pin is too long because it's not displaying correctly. But like this one, really yummy, and they didn't even have to plate it. I want to eat that, and it's bright and colorful and it gets my attention. The same with this one. And so another thing to notice here too is the things that show up here at the top are going to be your better performers. They don't have too many colors on them, right? So this has red and white. It doesn't have a bunch of colors. This has green. Green looks really good with food. This one's just black and white as far as the words and the letters. This one's brown. I tend to not like brown with food. This one's got like the orange and kind of that red orange on this one. But think about like as you're pausing and these look appetizing to you, like this one with the black, it looks appetizing. This one looks appetizing. How can you replicate that in your own pin design? This is appetizing, it's easy to read. You know, you don't want to be too scripty with the fonts. You can even like kind of zoom out some more so you can kind of see, okay, what in here is catching my eye as I do the scroll test, and what is making me go, whoa, I don't want that. So, or you know, what are your eyes going away from? Like this one with the eggs, my eyes want. I want this one with the eggs on it. Something about the eggs, I don't know. I'm hungry, it's breakfast. Also look at that for your pin design, not just the photos that you're going to take and how you're going to stand out from everybody else, but the way you're going to put the text on here, the colors you're going to choose for the text. Notice that like while some of them have branding, the branding's not too heavy, right? It's small and centered logo. So logo down at the bottom and centered is a good idea. I also recommend that you do put your URL on here somewhere. So here, Yellow Bliss Road, she has her URL right there. So if you happen to save this to your computer or take a screenshot, you can always find out where it came from. And so that's super smart because a lot of people don't know how to save stuff correctly on the internet and they're screenshotting, etc., and you want them to be able to find your site. You could go and take a photo of the ingredients again and put that with this in like a collage. And so some of these will have where they have the ingredients and then the finished product up at the top. So that's kind of another way to get good attention onto your content. If you guys have any questions on how to kind of do these audits, basically you want to put them down in the comments, but kind of the recap is before you create content, go through, do a visual search here on Pinterest to see how can I make my images look different and stand out in the feed of what's already existing. How can I make sure that my graphics, you know, my words, the text, the fonts that I use, the colors that I choose, make sure that it's appetizing and stands out against everything else that's already here. And then if you're doing this afterward, like you've already made the post and you're like, why is this not getting traffic? Do this audit and then try to figure out, okay, either recreate the recipe and re-photograph it, or try to figure out, is there a way I can Photoshop this or combine this with things? I hope that that's helpful. If you do have any questions, put them down in the comment section. And if you thought that this video was helpful, I would love it if you shared it with a friend. Share this to your friends, tag them in the comments if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so that you'll get notified every time I put up a new Smart Creative Social video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.